Hi, it's Dre Griggs of City Wisdom. Today we'll discuss the June jobs report. We are currently estimated at 497,000 new jobs were added in the month of June, which is absolutely incredible. For perspective, that would be about double what the Dow had estimated. So the Dow Jones said we're looking at about 220,000 jobs for the month of June. That would be considered like a pretty good month, right? They'd be like, okay, that was good. Great job. Everybody keep your job. And we kind of keep going from there. And we also know the Fed felt like the economy was starting to slow down a little bit. And as a result, they were thinking about stopping the interest rate hikes, or at least halting it, lowering the percentage that the increases are. Everybody was thinking, okay, we're past all of this. We're done with the red hot economy. And you may be wondering, well, what does the jobs growth has to do with inflation? And we'll get to that. You just stay with me on that. Now, if you're wondering, hey, what were the biggest sectors? The biggest sectors was leisure and hospitality, which tells us a lot, and we'll get into that. They had 232,000 of the new hires. And then that's followed by construction, then trade, transportation, and utilities. Annual wages, they went up by 6.5%. That also is a pretty significant increase, right? If you normally are thinking of most jobs, we're saying, hey, most places I work, I'm expecting to get like a 3% increase, something like that. And then wages have been generally stagnant. That's a lot of the reason why financial freedom is so hard, why retirement planning is so hard, why generational wealth is so hard, because we keep all of the wages at the same level, and then we significantly increase the cost. And when you keep increasing the cost, how do you get out of the hole, right? We're not even talking about the student loans and going to college and how that is increasing. We're talking just about the housing and the cars and different things. Those are all increasing at a rate higher than most wages. So that's really good that wages went up by 6.5%, but that number is down compared to May, where it was 6.6, right? So it wasn't as high as May, but it is still going up, and so that's really cool. And so now we're all just thinking, okay, what does that mean the Fed's going to do? Is the Fed going to increase interest rates? Are they now back worried about inflation? And I would tell you twofold, right? So first is, hey, Dre, why does the job increase? Why does that impact inflation? And the reason is, if there's a certain number of jobs out there where we have more jobs than people who can fill them, how do I get the best talent to come to my business? And you're right, I would get them by offering them a better situation than their current situation. That is probably going to be the only way they would come to where I'm at. And whether that means I have to pay them more, I have to give them more flexibility, I have to give them a better benefits package, I have to give them a better title, whatever it is that I have to do, that's what I have to do for them to be willing to come work at my company from the company that they're at. What does that person then do when they have a 10, 15, 20% increase in their wage? Well, most people are going to go buy something. And if you take the money from your new job and you go buy some stuff, then what do I do as that employer, or at least the producer of whatever it was that you bought? If my shelves are running empty because people keep buying all my stuff because everybody has all this money from their new jobs and the higher wages because of how competitive everything is, I then, for two reasons, have to raise my prices. Number one is I'm raising my prices because I'm running out of stuff on the shelf. If I only have so much I can produce and it's all gone, I would rather raise the prices so that the people who really, really want my stuff are going to be able to pay for it, and I won't run out on the shelf. And I think that's a reasonable conclusion. The other one is, as a company who's also hiring people, your number one expense as a business owner is your employees. And because you have to go out and compete in this market to drive these employees to your company, you have to pay them higher, give them better titles, give them better benefits packages, and be more flexible with the things you're offering. How do you offset the new higher cost of your employees? You raise your prices. And so you can see how the cycle continues. As long as everyone has a job and all of these companies have to compete on how to drive people from one place to the other place, so we all keep paying people more, and then as people make more, they spend more, and as people spend more, they make more as far as my business, and so now I have more money to hire more people, and I can pay even more money, which is why the Fed is trying to raise interest rates to lower the employment. And it doesn't sound fun, and it's not, because we're saying, okay, you're trying to create a recession. And they would say, well, no, Dre, we're going to stop the rate hikes right before the recession. We're just trying to cool down a red hot economy. Now, of course, you and I in history would say, I don't know if you guys are quite that precise that you're not going to drive us into a recession trying to slow down the economy. But that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to slow down the economy, because once we slow down the economy, then people will start laying people off. And as you lay people off, then there's less money that people can spend at the stores. And as the items on the shelf are no longer flying off the shelf, then I'm probably going to lower the cost of my good, because no one's buying it anymore because they don't have as much money as they did. And as you finish that cycle, then everything kind of goes back to normal. So we're deflating the prices instead of inflating, because everything's off the shelf and I'm hiring everybody and I have to pay all this money. Well, in the opposite, if I cut people and you lay people off, and then there's less money and they have less they can spend, and then I have to lower my cost because no one's buying my stuff. And so that's kind of the way it ends up going. Just think of it the way that toilet paper was during COVID. When everybody wanted toilet paper, there wasn't a price that you couldn't sell it for. You could buy a roll, you can go on Amazon and sell it for $100, and someone will probably buy it because that's the demand. And then naturally, once we created, the supply chain, and once everything started logistically moving and we filled the shelves back up, well, now everybody's like, well, I'm not going to pay that. I can just go get it for this price. And unfortunately, that's the same way that most companies will look at us as people. They'll say, well, why would I pay someone that if I can get it for this price? ESPN just laid off a whole bunch of people. Don't be surprised that a lot of people they laid off were the ones that were making the most money, because I could just lay these people off and I can get some other talking head to talk about sports and these different events, and I can now provide the same, probably not the same, probably a slightly worse quality, right? And I think most of us agree with that. If you have someone with 20 years of experience versus someone with 3 years of experience, the someone with 20 years of experience, they know so much. They have such a craft where it seems effortless for them, versus someone with 3 years, they're kind of new, but hopefully they have the drive to make up for what they lack in skill with, perseverance and drive and grit. And so maybe it works out for them. But you can see how this will impact an economy, how much money is inside of it. And then you can also say, if you were to say, hey, Dre, what do you think the Fed is going to do? I would say the Fed's probably going to look at this and they would say, I think I'm going to raise the rates. And why would I say that? If you look at the number one sector that the job growth happened in, which was that? It was leisure and hospitality. People have so much money that they're taking more trips. They're going on more lavish vacations and traveling and seeing the world. So think of it that way. We're saying that we're in such a great economic time, which is what this is a sign of, that people have so much extra money that they're taking these trips. And you would look in other luxury spending aspects where people are spending on luxuries. If they spend on luxuries, that means they have a lot of extra money. If they have a lot of extra money, that means that we're probably going to be in an inflationary environment. If you're in an inflationary environment, that means the Fed is going to step in and raise the rates. You may say, well, Dre, we're in the summer and these are going to be, seasonal jobs and then they're going to go away. And you may be right. But if you're the Fed looking at this and they doubled the growth rate, and then you see that just within the leisure and hospitality, there were more jobs added in that section, 232,000, than you even expected in the entire June report, which was expected to be 220,000 jobs. I would say the Fed's going to say, you know what, this isn't looking good. Now, I could be wrong. The Fed, they have the numbers, they have the information, so they may say, Dre, we're able to look at the numbers and see that this isn't quite a concern for us, but if you made me bet on it, I would bet that they're going to raise the interest rates. And then you can see the next sector, that was construction, also a very key indicator as new houses and different things are being built. Even though that's slowing down, it's still the second largest growth that you found within the new employment. So it can't be slowing down too much. Even though we are seeing signs it's not as crazy as it once was, it still seems like it's pretty hot market. So if housing and people are buying new houses because they have this extra money, and people are taking trips because they have all this extra money, then the Fed is going to say, people have too much money in the economy. I'm going to raise rates higher so I can take more money out. I can slow down some of this new construction because now the interest rates are higher when you buy the house, which means that your monthly payment is going to be higher, which means your debt to income ratio, the approval that you need to get the house, that's going to lower. You can't buy as much house as you used to be able to. You will also find this will have a negative impact on some small businesses that don't have the revenue that they need, and so they end up taking loans out. then if you can't take the loans out because the rates are too high where it doesn't make sense financially, then those companies may not be able to fill those orders. They may not be able to scale and grow as they could have when interest rates were really low.